on a day similar to others, but distinct. Yes, it is Monday. Monday is a day. We are here. I don't know what else to say. I hope everyone had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. I think it's mostly a blur, but I think it was good. We had a good stream on Saturday. I'm fairly sure it's Monday. I do know it's Monday because Benjamin restarted school this morning, so that was exciting. That was something different. Yeah, good Warhammer stream on Saturday, and then we had a fun Homebuddies group stream Saturday night. We talked about armor. As I posted in the Discord, I was a little bit disappointed with myself because I forgot a couple of good armors out there. Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello. The Starship Troopers armor from the book, not from the movie, the book, which would have been interesting to talk about. It wouldn't have won. But, as I said, I think a real contender that possibly could have won was this. The Exo Man of War armor from the Exo Man of War comic book is really, really cool. Way OP. Anytime they have like a crossover event, and every time they end a volume of that book, they have to find some way to depower it or have it sent into space, just because it's so powerful it can take out pretty much anything else. Yes, Emily, school is school. Sometimes it's better than other times. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, he didn't go to school. He's at his computer at school. So yeah, it is what it is. All right, shall we get back to the fairy tales? Now, I haven't really looked ahead to what stories are coming up, and I'm pretty much just reading them as they come. I don't know. There's also seemingly no rhyme or reason to the order that they're in this book. This book there's no introduction. It just dives right in. There's something at the end. There's some notes at the end, which we might get to, but it's all good. Okay. Russian fairy tales. Collected by... Oh my god, the font on this thing is a nightmare. Alexander Afanasyev. Translated by Norbert Guterman. Cool. Yeah. There's gardening happening outside. It will be over soon. If it impinges on us. Oh, here we go. The Bad Wife. These are always good. Let me turn this. It's going to be loud for just a second. The Bad Wife. There was once a bad wife who made life impossible for her husband and disobeyed him in everything. If he told her to rise early, she slept for 3 days. If he told her to sleep, she did not sleep at all. If her husband asked her to make pancakes, she said, "You don't deserve pancakes, you scoundrel." If her husband said, "Don't make pancakes, wife, since I don't deserve them," she made an enormous pan full, 2 whole gallons of pancakes, and said, "Now eat, scoundrel, and be sure that all of them are eaten." If he said, "Wife, do not wash the clothes, nor go out to cut hay. It is too much for you," she answered, "No, you scoundrel, I will go out, and you shall come with me." One day, after a quarrel with her, he went in distress to the woods to pick berries, found a currant bush, and found a bottomless pit in the middle of it. As he looked at it, he thought to himself, "Why do I go on living with a bad wife and struggling with her? Could I not put her in that pit and teach her a lesson?" He went back home and said, "Wife, do not go to the woods for berries." "I shall go, you fool. I found a currant bush, don't pick it. I shall go and pick it clean, and what is more, I won't give you any." The husband went out, and his wife followed him. He came to the currant bush, and his wife jumped toward it and yelled, "Don't go into that bush, you scoundrel, or I'll kill you." She herself went into the middle of it, and plop, into the bottomless pit. The husband went home happily and lived there in peace for 3 days. On the 4th day, he went to see how his wife was getting along. He took a long tow rope, let it down into the pit, and dragged out a little imp. He was frightened and was about to drop him back into the pit when the imp began to shriek, and then said imploringly, "Peasant, do not put me back. Let me out into the world. A bad wife has come into our pit. She torments, bites, and pinches all of us. We are sick to death of her. If you let me out, I will do you a good turn." So the peasant let him go free in Holy Russia. The imp said, "Well, peasant, let us go to the town of Vologda. I will make people sick, and you shall cure them." Now the imp set to work on merchants' wives and daughters. He would enter into them, and they would go mad and fall ill. Our peasant would go to the house of the sick woman, the imp would leave, a blessing would come on the house. Everyone thought that the peasant was a doctor, gave him money, and fed him pies. Damn. The peasant thus amassed an uncountable sum of money. Then the imp said to him, "You now have plenty, peasant. Are you satisfied? Now I shall enter a boyar's daughter, and mind you do not come to cure her, else I shall eat you." The boyar sent for the peasant, the famous doctor. He came to the boyar's beautiful house and told him to have all the townspeople and all the carriages and coachmen gather in the street in front of the house. He gave orders that all the coachmen should crack their whips and cry aloud, "The bad wife has come! The bad wife has come!" Then he went into the sick maiden's room. When he came in, the imp was enraged at him and said, "Why have you come here, Russian man? Now I will eat you." He said, "What do you mean? I have not come to drive you out, but to warn you that the bad wife is here." The imp jumped on the windowsill, stared fixedly, and listened intently. He heard all the crowd in the street cry in one voice, "The bad wife has come!" "Peasant," said the imp, "where shall I hide?" "Return to the pit. She won't go there again." The imp went there and joined the bad wife. The boyar rewarded the peasant by giving him half his possessions and his daughter in marriage, but the bad wife to this day sits in the pit in nether darkness. The end. Okay, well, a very wise man in that story. As wicked and bad a wife as the woman is, she's cunning in her own way, and I like that she falls down among the imps and then bites and pinches and attacks them, and that's kind of cool. So Russian folk tales and folklore have a bunch of these sort of supernatural, I guess you could call them fae characters. They have imps and spirits and things that lurk around and can get into your house. That's the first time we've seen the word imp used here, at least. We didn't see that last week, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see if we hear more of those. They had the domovoi and other sort of either wandering spirits or creatures or things that would infest and inhabit places. Could be a Christian translation of something else. That is possible. These are tales that are filtered through a lens of Christianity, to some degree or another. Sometimes less, sometimes more. Okay, next is the miser. Yes, and these imps can get into people as well. There was once a wealthy merchant named Marka, and never was anyone so stingy as he. One day he went for a walk. On his way he saw an old beggar asking for alms. "For Christ's sake, pious man, this is the beggar. For Christ's sake, pious man, give me something." Marka the wealthy passed him by. But a poor peasant who followed him felt pity for the beggar and gave him a kopeck. The rich man felt ashamed, stopped, and said to the peasant, "Listen, fellow countryman, lend me a kopeck. I want to give something to the beggar, but I have no small coins." The peasant gave him a kopeck and asked, "When shall I come to collect my loan?" Come tomorrow." The next day the poor man went to the rich man for his kopeck. He entered the broad courtyard. "Is Marka the wealthy at home?" "He is. What do you want?" asked Marka. "I have come for my kopeck." "Ah, brother, come some other time. I have no small coins now." The poor man bowed low and said, "I will come tomorrow." The following day he came and again was told, "I have no small coins, but if you have change for 100 rubles, you can get your kopeck. If not, come in 2 weeks." 2 weeks later, the poor man again went to the rich man. When Marka the wealthy saw him through the window, he said to his wife, "Listen, wife, I will undress completely and lie under the icons. And you cover me with a shroud and sit down and lament me as though I were dead. When the peasant comes for his loan, tell him that I have died today." The wife did as her husband ordered her. She sat down and shed burning tears. The peasant came into the room and she asked, "What is it?" The wife asked, "What is it?" "I have come to collect my loan from Marka the wealthy," answered the poor man. "Ah, little peasant, Marka the wealthy wished you a long life. He has just died." "May he go to the kingdom of heaven. Permit me, hostess, to do something for him for my kopeck. At least I can wash his sinful body." Saying this, he snatched a kettle of boiling water and poured it over Marka the wealthy. Marka could barely stand it. He gritted his teeth and jerked his feet. "I don't care whether you jerk. Give me back my kopeck," said the poor man. He washed the body and prepared it for burial. "Now, hostess, buy a coffin and have it taken to the church. I will read the psalter over him." Marka the wealthy was put in a coffin and taken to the church, and the peasant began to read the psalter over him. Dark night came. Suddenly a window opened and thieves broke into the church. The peasant hid behind the altar. The thieves began to share the spoils among them. They shared everything. Only a golden saber remained, and each one wanted it for himself and refused to yield it to the others. The poor man suddenly jumped out and cried, "Why do you quarrel? Whoever cuts off the dead man's head shall have the saber." At this, Marka the wealthy jumped up beside himself with fear. The thieves were frightened, threw away their money, and took to their heels. "Now, little peasant," said Marka, "let us share the money." They shared it evenly. Both of them got a great deal. "And how about my kopeck?" said the poor man. Brother, you see for yourself. I have no small coins." And so Marka the wealthy never returned the kopeck. The end. Well, lesson learned? I do like that poor people generally do have smarts and cleverness to them. Street smarts, you might call it. And it's always a great. I don't have change. I don't have change for $1. I'm sorry. I can't help you out. I assume a kopeck is a negligible sum of money. And I don't know how many kopecks to a ruble. I have no small coins, but if you have change for 100 rubles, yeah, I don't know how that all works. Yeah, I don't know. Gotta watch out for those misers. The wife there was perfectly willing to go along with his terrible plot. Okay, the nobleman and the peasant. One day a nobleman went to market and bought a canary for 50 rubles. Well, I guess now we have some idea how much things cost. A peasant happened to see this, and when he came home he told his wife, "Imagine, today I was at the market and I saw the baron." It says baron, B-A-R-I-N. And I saw the baron buying a small bird for 50 rubles. I will take my gander to him. Perhaps he will buy that. Take it. The peasant brought his gander to the nobleman. "Baron, buy this gander." How much is it? Asked the nobleman. 100 rubles. You idiot. Since you were willing to pay 50 rubles for a small bird, 100 is cheap for this one. The nobleman flew into a rage, beat the peasant, and took his gander for nothing. Very well, said the peasant. You will remember this gander. He returned home. Oh my God. He returned home, disguised himself as a mason, took a saw and axe, and went to the nobleman's house, crying, Who wants a warm vestibule built? The nobleman heard him, called him in, and asked, How will you do it? It's very simple. Near here are warm trees. A vestibule built of those warm trees does not have to be heated in winter. Ah, brother, said the nobleman, show me those trees at once. With pleasure. Both of them went to the woods. There the peasant cut an enormous pine tree and began to slice it into 2 halves. He cut the tree lengthwise and began to drive in a wedge. The nobleman watched him for a long while and then foolishly thrust his hand into the cut. No sooner had he done this than the peasant pulled out the wedge, and the nobleman's hand was firmly caught. Then the peasant took a leather strap and began to thrash the nobleman, repeating, Don't beat a peasant! Don't take his gander! Don't beat a peasant! Don't take his gander! He thrashed to his heart's delight and said, Well, Baron, I have beaten you once, and I will beat you again unless you return my gander and add 100 rubles into the bargain. Having said this, he left, and the nobleman stayed in the woods till nightfall. In the end, his family became worried, but much time went by before they found him and freed him from the vice. The nobleman fell ill. He lay on his bed and moaned. The peasant picked herbs and flowers, stuck them all over himself, disguised himself as a doctor, and once again went near the nobleman's courtyard, crying, Does someone need curing? The nobleman heard him, called him in, and said, Who are you? I am a doctor. I can cure any illness. Ah, brother, please cure me. Certainly. Have a bath heated. Straightway a bath was heated. Now come to be cured, said the peasant to the nobleman. Only don't take anyone with us to the bathroom. Watch out for the evil eye. They went to the bathroom and the nobleman undressed. Well, sir, asked the doctor, can you bear it if in this heat I apply ointment to you? No, I can't, said the nobleman. What shall we do then? Do you want to be tied? Please tie me. The peasant tied him with a rope, took a whip, and began to drub and pummel him, repeating, Don't beat a peasant! Don't... Oh, I lost my place. Don't beat a peasant! Don't take his gander! Don't beat a peasant! Don't take his gander! When he was about to leave, he said, Now, Baron, I have beaten you twice. I shall beat you a 3rd time unless you return the gander and 200 rubles into the bargain. The nobleman got out of his bath, more dead than alive, decided not to wait for a 3rd time, and gave the peasant the gander and 200 rubles. The end. Well, here, there we go. We have a story with a clear, actual moral. The little guy wins. Maybe that's the... that might be the best one yet. The kopeck is a subunit of a ruble, but the ruble is a piece of something called a grivna, which is itself akin to silver. Interesting. Thank you, Zardas. Yeah, there's a lot of beating and whipping in that story. And yeah, the disguises are just fantastic. So much effort put into these disguises. Okay, next we have a poem. Yeah, a lot of violence as well. Don't beat a peasant. Don't take his gander. Okay, this one is called The Goat Comes Back. And it is sort of a poem, maybe a song. I don't know. Billy Goat, where have you been? I was grazing horses. And where are the horses? Nikolka led them away. And where is Nikolka? He went to the larder. And where is the larder? It was flooded with water. And where is the water? The oxen drank it. And where are the oxen? They went to the mountain. And where is the mountain? The worms gnawed it away. And where are the worms? The geese all ate them. And where are the geese? They went to the junipers. And where are the junipers? The maids broke them. And where are the maids? They all got married. And where are their husbands? They all died. The end. They all died. And yes, it does have it's a similar sort of back and forth question answer progression. Like, I mean, they're songs and other poems like these. Yeah, another one of those. They all died. The end. Hey, Stozal, welcome. We're reading very bizarre Russian fairy tales. Usually bizarre. Occasionally they make sense, but that's few and far between. Okay, next we have the crane and the heron. So more birds. Lots of birds. There was once an owl. A merry bird was she. She flew and flew, perched on a tree, wiggled her tail, rolled her eyes, and took wing again. She flew and flew, perched on a tree, wiggled her tail, and rolled her eyes. But that's the flourish, just for fun. The real tale has not begun. Okay, little intro. Once upon a time, a crane and a heron lived in a bog. They had little huts, one at each end of it. The crane grew weary of living alone and decided to marry. I will go woo the heron. The crane set out, flap, flap, and he flapped over the bog for 7 versts. Versts. That's a new one for me. Finally he arrived and asked, "Is the heron at home?" "She is." "Heron, be my wife." "No, crane, I will not be your wife. Your legs are too long, your clothes are too short, your flying is poor, and you cannot support me. Go away, you spindle shanks." The crane returned home with a long face. Is that a joke too? Later the heron changed her mind and thought to herself, "Why should I live alone? It would be better to marry the crane." She came to him and said, "Crane, take me to wife." "No, heron, I don't need you. I don't want to get married, and I don't want you as wife. Get out." The heron wept for shame and went home. The crane changed his mind and thought to himself, "I was wrong not to marry the heron. It is wearisome to live alone. I will go now and take her to wife." He came and said, "Heron, I have decided to marry you. Be my wife." "No, crane, I won't be your wife." So the crane went home. Then the heron changed her mind and thought, "Why did I refuse him? What good is it to live alone? I'd rather marry the crane." So she came to propose, and this time the crane refused. And to this very day they go to each other to propose, but never get married. The end. 3,500 feet per verst. They live on the opposite ends of the bog, and it was 7 versts. So we can do some quick math here. 3,500 times 7, so we have 20. So divide that by... Oh, that didn't work right. Yeah, so 4-ish miles. Okay. Yeah, so they just forever and ever they go and propose to each other and never get married. Okay. Those birds. All right. Rapid Wombat, you might be too sober for these stories. Possibly. And like I said, I feel like there must be some there must be some rhyme or reason to the order here. So I am reading them in order, but we are coming up toward... There are some famous characters and famous stories in here at this point, or at some point, rather, including Baba Yaga, who I'm sure probably all of you have at least heard of, if you don't know the actual stories about the character. So I think we'll get to one of the Baba Yaga stories today. There are several. Okay, more animals. The Fox Confessor. Ooh, this is always a good start to a story. Listen to this amazing story. A fox was coming from distant deserts and saw a cock perched on a tall tree. She spoke to him kindly. "Oh, Chanticleer, my beloved child," I think that's how you pronounce it, "you are sitting on a tall tree and thinking thoughts that are evil and accursed. You cocks keep many wives. Some of you have as many as 10 of them, some 20, some 30. With time, their number reaches even 40. Whenever you chance to meet, you fight over your wives and concubines. Come down to the ground, my beloved child, and do penance. I myself have been in distant deserts. I have not eaten nor drunk, and have suffered many hardships. And all the time I long to hear your confession, my beloved child. O holy Mother Fox, I have not fasted and I have not prayed. Come some other time. Oh, my beloved child, you have not fasted and you have not prayed, but come down to the ground nonetheless. Repent, else you will die in sin. O holy Mother Fox, your mouth is as honey, your words are kind, your tongue is sweet. Judge not, that ye be not judged. What we have sown, that we shall reap. You want to bring me to repentance by force, not to save me, but to devour my body. O Chanticleer, my beloved child, why do you say such words? Have you read the parable of the publican and the Pharisee, in which the publican is saved and the Pharisee perishes because of his pride? My beloved child, unless you repent, you shall perish on your tall tree. Come then lower, then you will be closer to repentance. You will be pardoned and absolved and admitted to the kingdom of heaven. The cock recognized the mortal sin in his soul. He was moved to tears and began to descend from branch to branch, from twig to twig, and from stem to stem. He came down to the ground and sat in front of the fox. The fox, cunning beast that she was, jumped, gripped the cock in her sharp claws, glared at him with ferocious eyes, and gritted her sharp teeth, ready to devour him alive, the impious bird. Quoth the cock to the fox, O holy Mother Fox, your mouth is as honey, your words are kind, your tongue is sweet. But will you save me if you devour my body? I do not want your body, nor your colored garment. I want to pay you back for an old favor. Do you remember? Once, as I was going to a peasant's house to eat a little chick, you, idle fool that you are, perched on a high roost, and wailed and shouted in an enormous voice. You began to stamp your feet and flap your wings. Then the hens began to gabble, the geese began to cackle, the dog began to bark, the stallions to neigh, and the cows to moo. Everyone on the place was aroused. The women came running with broomsticks and the men with axes. They wanted to kill me. All on account of that little chick. And yet an owl has been staying with them from generation to generation and always eats their chicks. No, you idle fool, you shall not escape alive. Quoth the cock, O holy Mother Fox, your mouth is as honey, your words are kind, your tongue is sweet. Yesterday, I was asked by the Trunchinsk Metropolitan to be a deacon. I was praised before the whole choir and congregation as a handsome youth, respectable, eager for learning, and with a beautiful voice. Could I not persuade you by my entreaty, Mother Fox, to become at least my wafer woman? We shall profit greatly. We shall be given sweet cakes, great roasts, butter, eggs, and cheeses. The fox was moved by the cock's plea, and her hold on him weakened. The cock tore himself loose, flew up to the tall tree, and wailed and shouted in an enormous voice, My dear Mrs. Wafer Baker, welcome! Is not the profit great? Are not the wafers sweet? Have you not rubbed off your hump carrying the roasts? Wouldn't you gladly get to the nuts, little rascal? But have you enough teeth? The fox went into the woods with a very long face and lamented bitterly. I have been all over the world, and nowhere have I seen anything so disgraceful, since when are cocks deacons and foxes wafer bakers? So glory and power to the Lord for all time to come, and this is the end of our tale. Okay. Well, there are lots of animal stories featuring one animal tempting another, tricking another, trapping that animal, and then the animal has to figure out what to say to escape. So, at least I understand the basic points. For me, at least, it gets a little bit into the weeds as far as the religious stuff. I don't know all the things that we're talking about here, but it is interesting. The televangelist fox, yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, Tiny Chris. You missed the fox and the cock. But now we have the bear. Once there lived an old man and his old wife, and they had no children. The old woman said to her husband, "Old man, go get some wood." He went and met a bear who said, "Old man, let us fight." The old man took his axe and cut off one of the bear's paws. He returned home and said to his wife, "Old woman, cook the bear's paw." She removed the skin, placed it under her, and began to pluck out the fur while the paw was cooking on the stove. The bear roared and roared, then thought the matter over, and made himself a paw of lime tree wood. He hobbled on his wooden paw to the old man's house and sang, "Creak, my paw, creak, lime wood. The water sleeps, and the earth sleeps. The townsmen sleep, the villagers sleep. Only one woman is awake, sitting on my skin, spinning my fur, cooking my flesh." The old man and his wife were terrified. He hid on the shelf and covered himself with a trough, and she hid on the stove and covered herself with some black shirts. The bear entered the room. From fear, the old man groaned under the trough, and the old woman coughed under the black shirts. The bear found them and ate them. The end. I don't know. So there's seemingly an important note that they have no children, but doesn't matter. He's supposed to get wood. It's the bear who says, "Let's fight." The old man is seemingly just defending himself. Brings the paw home and tells the wife to cook it. The bear has a little song and dance routine and then comes in and eats them. Okay. Some days the bear wins. I guess that's the moral of that story. Alright, so that was the bear. Now we have the spider. Ooh, Tiny Chris says, "Some years ago I was a preschool teacher at a class of 3-year-olds. One of our naptime CDs had a story about a girl who wouldn't say her prayers, so her mother beat her and threw her down the stairs." Sleep well, kids. Wow. That's something. Hey, Builder S. Okay, now the spider. In days of yore, in very, very olden times, one lovely spring, one hot summer, a great plague spread over the world. Mosquitoes and midges in great swarms began to bite people and drink their blood. Then a spider came, a brave knight, and he began to twist his legs and weave his webs in the paths of the mosquitoes and the midges. A dirty fly fell into the spider's web, and the spider began to beat her, torment her, strangle her. The fly implored the spider, "Little father spider, do not beat me, do not kill me. I would leave behind many orphans who would fly into all the yards and annoy the dogs." The spider let her go. She flew away buzzing and announced to all the mosquitoes and midges, "Hey, you mosquitoes and midges, hide under the aspen tree root. A spider has come who twists his legs and weaves his webs in all the paths of mosquitoes and midges. He'll catch you all." They flew away, hid under the aspen tree root, and lay as though dead. The spider called together a cricket, a beetle, and a woodbug. "You, cricket, sit on a cabbage and smoke a pipe of tobacco. You, beetle, beat a drum. And you, woodbug, go to the aspen tree root and spread the news that I, the valiant spider, the brave knight, am no longer alive. Say that I was sent to Kazan, that in Kazan my head was cut off on the block, and the block was cleft asunder." The cricket sat on a cabbage and smoked a pipe of tobacco. The beetle beat a drum, and the woodbug went to the aspen tree root and said, "Why do you hide? Why do you lie as though dead? The valiant spider, the brave knight, is no longer alive. He was sent to Kazan, and in Kazan his head was cut off on the block, and the block was cleft asunder." They cheered and rejoiced, made the sign of the cross, flew away, and all fell into the spider's webs. He said, "You're nice little things. You should visit me more often. Drink beer and wine, and treat yourselves fine." The end. Oh, spider wins. I mean, I guess it's sort of implied that the spider's going to do that. I don't know why the spider makes the cricket smoke a pipe. Is that to draw? Maybe that's to draw them out. Maybe the combination of the smoke and the beating the drum helps draw the other bugs out. Maybe. That could be. Smoked meat tastes better, sure. But the spider let the fly go. That's interesting. Is there some moral to that part? And who knows? Okay, cool. So now, this one's a little bit longer, but not much. We have our first Baba Yaga story. And like I said, there are several that just appear seemingly randomly, but we'll see throughout the book. So we have Baba Yaga and the Brave Youth. Once upon a time, there lived a cat, a sparrow, and a brave youth. The cat and the sparrow went to the forest to chop wood and said to the brave youth. The cat and the sparrow went to the forest to chop wood and said to the brave youth, "You keep the house, but mind you, if Baba Yaga comes and counts the spoons, do not say a word. Keep quiet." "Very well," said the brave youth. The cat and the sparrow went away, and the brave youth sat on the stove behind the chimney. Suddenly, Baba Yaga came in, took the spoons, and began to count them. "This is the cat's spoon, this is the sparrow's spoon, and this is the brave youth's spoon." The brave youth could not restrain himself and cried, "Baba Yaga, don't touch my spoon!" Baba Yaga seized the brave youth, sat on the mortar, and flew off. She drove the mortar, spurring it with the pestle and sweeping away her tracks with her broom. The brave youth shouted, "Cat, run! Sparrow, fly!" They heard him and rushed to his help. The cat began to scratch Baba Yaga, and the sparrow to peck at her. Thus, they rescued the brave youth. The next day, the cat and the sparrow again prepared to go into the forest to chop wood, and told the brave youth, "Mind you, if Baba Yaga comes, do not say anything. Today we are going far away." As soon as the brave youth had sat down on the stove behind the chimney, Baba Yaga came again, and began to count the spoons. This is the cat's spoon, this is the sparrow's spoon, and this is the brave youth's spoon. The brave youth could not restrain himself and shouted, "Baba Yaga, don't touch my spoon!" Baba Yaga seized the brave youth and dragged him along with her. The brave youth shouted, "Cat, run! Sparrow, fly!" They heard him and rushed to his help. The cat began to scratch and the sparrow to peck at Baba Yaga. Thus they rescued the brave youth. Then they all went home. The third day the cat and the sparrow prepared once more to go into the forest and chop wood, and said to the brave youth, "Mind you, if Baba Yaga comes, be silent. Today we are going even further." The cat and the sparrow left, and the brave youth sat on the stove behind the chimney. Suddenly Baba Yaga again took the spoons and began to count them. This is the cat spoon, this is the sparrow spoon, this is the brave youth spoon. The brave youth did not say a word. Baba Yaga counted again. This is the cat's spoon, this is the sparrow's spoon, and this is the brave youth's spoon. The brave youth did not say a word. Baba Yaga counted a third time. This is the cat's spoon, this is the sparrow's spoon, and this is the brave youth's spoon. The brave youth could not restrain himself any longer and cried loudly, "Don't touch my spoon!" Baba Yaga seized the brave youth and dragged him along with her. He cried, "Cat, run! Sparrow, fly!" But his brothers did not hear him. Baba Yaga took him home, put him in the wooden shed by the stove, made a fire in the stove, and said to her eldest daughter, "I am going to Russia. Meanwhile, roast this brave youth for my dinner." "Very well," said the daughter. The stove grew hot, and the girl told the brave youth to come out of the shed. He came out. "Lie down on the roasting pan," said the girl. He lay down, held up one of his feet so that it touched the ceiling, and put the other on the floor. The girl said, "Not that way, not that way." The brave youth said, "How then? Show me." The girl lay down on the roasting pan. The brave youth quickly seized an oven fork, pushed the pan with Baba Yaga's daughter on it into the oven, and went back into the shed to wait for Baba Yaga. Suddenly she ran in and said, "Now I am going to feast and regale myself on the brave youth's bones." The brave youth answered her, "Feast and regale yourself on your own daughter's bones." Baba Yaga was startled and looked into the oven. She found her daughter all roasted and roared, "Aha, you cheat! Just wait, you won't get away." She ordered her second daughter to roast the brave youth, and went away. Her second daughter made a fire in the stove and told the brave youth to come out. He came out, lay on the pan, put one foot on the ceiling and the other on the floor. The girl said, "Not that way, not that way." "Show me how." The girl lay on the pan. The brave youth shoved her into the oven, went back to the shed, and sat there. Suddenly he heard Baba Yaga crying, "Now I am going to feast and regale myself on the brave youth's bones." He answered, "Feast and regale yourself on your own daughter's bones." Baba Yaga flew into a rage. She said, "Just wait, you won't get away." She ordered her youngest daughter to roast him, but to no avail. The youth shoved her into the oven too. Baba Yaga flew into an even greater rage. "Now," she said, "this time I swear you won't get away." She made a fire in the stove and cried, "Come out, brave youth, lie on the pan." He lay down, touched the ceiling with one foot, the floor with the other, and thus could not be got into the oven. Baba Yaga said, "Not that way, not that way." And the brave youth still pretended that he did not know how. "I don't know how," he said. "Show me." Baba Yaga at once curled up and lay on the pan. The brave youth quickly shoved her into the oven, ran home, and said to his brothers, "That's what I did with Baba Yaga." The end. Eridan says, "So the thing I think about in regards to Baba Yaga is from the original Quest for Glory or Hero's Quest from 1989. They're effectively the final boss, and in order to gain access to her, she's in a hut with the chicken feet. You have to type in Hut of Brown, now sit down." So what did we learn here? Yes, that witches will try to put you in an oven and eat you. I haven't read a lot of. Yeah, don't ask your Russian grandma for a story. I only know like cursory Baba Yaga stories, which I think most of us have. Obviously, the hut is the famous part. She has a hut that has chicken legs and runs around, and it can appear in different places. I don't know that I've ever heard that she's got children, daughters. So that's something new. Although, I mean, I suppose they're dead by the end of the story. She doesn't seem to care that much. I do have a large toy collection. This is just a part of it. Tomorrow we'll be talking about and opening toys. We do that on Toy Tuesday. Mondays we do mythology and Russian folk tales this time. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. I mean, at least the brave youth was smart enough to figure out how to get away. Interesting also that he took that oven fork as though he was going to use it as a weapon, but then never actually did anything with it. And I like that he's so brave that he stays home while the cat and the sparrow go into the woods to get the firewood. Yeah, most of these stories end with, well, and then they died. And then they tried to do something crazy. Next is a very long one, so we're going to skip that one. Oh, here we go. The cock is back. The cat, the cock, and the fox. Perhaps the oven fork is a wand? Maybe, yeah. I mean, Baba Yaga is definitely a witch of some kind. I don't know that technically... Yeah, I mean, I think witch is the way that she'd be described, even in the Russian stories. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's some sort of tool or implement. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, Hansel and Gretel, similar kind of thing. Similar kind of thing. Yes. Okay, the cat, the cock, and the fox. Once there was an old man who had a cat and a cock. The old man went to work in the woods. He went to work. The cat brought him some food, and the cock was left to watch the house. Just then, a fox came to the house. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Little cock, golden crest, look out the window and I'll give you a pea. Thus sang the fox as he sat under the window. The cock opened the window and poked out his head to see who was singing. The fox snatched the cock in his claws and carried him off to eat him for dinner. The cock cried out, "The fox is carrying me away! He is carrying the cock beyond dark forests, into distant lands, into foreign countries, beyond thrice 9 lands, into the 30th kingdom and the thrice 10th empire. Cat Katanovich, come rescue me." Ooh, the cat has a full name here. Cat Katanovich. Cat Katanovich, rescue me! In the field, the cat heard the cock's voice, rushed after him, overtook the fox, rescued the cock, and brought him home. "Now mind, Petya," said the cat to the cock. "Don't look out of the window again. Don't trust the fox. He'll eat you up, bones and all." Once again, Once again, the old man went to work in the woods, and the cat went to bring him food. Before leaving, the old man told the cock to watch the house and not to look out of the window. But the fox was wily. He wanted very badly to eat the cock, so he came to the hut and began to sing, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, little cock, golden crest. Look out the window and I'll give you a pea. I'll give you seeds, too." Ooh, he sweetened the deal. The cock walked about the room and did not answer. Once again the fox sang his song and cast a pea in through the window. The cock ate the pea and said, "No, fox, you cannot fool me. You want to eat me, bones and all." "Don't say such things, Petya. I have no idea of eating you. I just wanted you to pay me a visit. See my house and take a walk around my estate." Excuse me. And he sang again, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, little cock, golden crest. I gave you a pea, I'll give you seeds, too." The cock looked out the window, and at once the fox snatched him in his claws. The cock cried in a shrill voice, "The fox is carrying me off, carrying the cock beyond dark woods, beyond thick forests, carrying the cock along steep banks, up high mountains. He wants to eat me, bones and all." In the field the cat heard him, rushed after him, rescued him, and brought him home. "Did I not tell you not to open the window, not to poke out your head, or the fox would eat you, bones and all? Listen now, heed my words. Tomorrow we shall be even further away." We've seen that before. Again the old man went to work, and again the cat went to bring him his food. The fox stole under the window and began to sing the same song. He sang it 3 times, but the cock remained silent. The fox said, "What's the matter? Has Petya become dumb?" "No, fox, you cannot fool me. I won't look out the window." The fox cast a pea and several wheat grains in at the window and again sang, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, little cock, golden crest, butterhead. Look out the window. I have a big mansion. In every corner there's a full measure of wheat. Eat your fill." And then he added, "And Petya, you should also see my collection of curios." Don't believe the cat. If I wanted to eat you, I would have done so long ago. The truth is, I like you. I want to show you the world, to develop your mind, to teach you how to live. Now show yourself, Petya. I'll go behind a corner. And he concealed himself closer to the wall. The cock jumped up on a bench and looked through the window from a distance. He wanted to see whether the fox was still there. Then he poked his head out of the window, and at once the fox snatched him and darted off. Excuse me. The cock sang the same tune as before, but the cat did not hear him. The fox carried the cock away and ate him up behind a fir grove, leaving only his tail feathers for the wind to scatter. The old man and the cat came home and discovered that the cock was gone. They were deeply distressed and said to each other, "This is what comes of not heeding warnings." The end. And there's a pretty rad picture to go along with that story. So we've got a cutaway of the house, which is kind of interesting. There's the cock in the house. The fox dressed up in clothing, wringing its hands outside. And the cat, as cats do, laying down all tucked up. Yeah, and it even gives you the moral right at the end. This is what comes of not heeding warnings. Come on, Rabid Wombat. Give it to us. Oh, man. Aaron, the lessons that we're supposed to have learned, I don't know. There's, they're not always easy to interpret. All right, so it looks like the next couple of stories are quite a bit longer. Oh, wow. Whew, that is super long. Oh, and then they get short again. Excuse me one moment. And there's so many stories that we just don't know what the lesson is. Maybe don't be dumb, some of them. Okay, we're going to read about the magic shirt. No cocks. Well, I don't know. They might show up. A brave soldier, while serving in his regiment, received 100 rubles from home. The sergeant got wind of it and borrowed the money from him. When the time came to settle the debt, instead of paying it, he gave the soldier 100 blows on his back with a stick, saying, "I never saw your money. You invented the whole thing." The soldier became enraged and ran away into a deep forest. He was about to lie down to rest under a tree when he saw a 6-headed dragon flying toward him. The dragon stopped beside the soldier, questioned him about his life, and said, "Why should you trudge through the woods like this? Indeed, come and serve me for 3 years." "With pleasure," said the soldier. "Sit on me, then," said the dragon. The soldier began to load all his belongings onto the dragon. Veteran, why are you taking all this trash with you?" "How can you ask that, dragon? A soldier gets flogged for losing even a button, and now you want me to drop all my belongings?" Wow, there's a lot going on just in the first long paragraph of this story. The dragon brought the soldier to his palace and charged him as follows. "Sit by the kettle for 3 years. Keep the fire going and cook my kasha." The dragon himself went to travel in the world during all that time. The soldier's work was not hard. He put wood under the kettle and sat beside it drinking vodka and eating tasty snacks. And the dragon's vodka was not like ours, all watered down, but quite strong. And that's the Russians telling you that. After 3 years, the dragon came flying home. "Well, veteran, is the kasha ready?" "It must be. For all these 3 years, my fire did not go out once." The dragon ate the whole kettleful in one meal, praised the soldier for his faithful service, and hired him for the next 3 years. These years passed too, and the dragon ate his kasha again and left the soldier for still another 3 years. For 2 years our soldier cooked the kasha, and toward the end of the third began to think, "Here I am living with the dragon for the 9th year, cooking his kasha all the time, and I don't even know what it tastes like. I must try it." He raised the lid and found his sergeant sitting in the kettle. "Ah, my friend," thought the soldier, "now I am going to give you a good time. I'll pay you back the blows you gave me." And he began to drag in wood and put it under the kettle as much as he could, and made such a fire that he cooked not only the flesh, but even the bones of the sergeant to a pulp. The dragon returned, ate the kasha, and praised the soldier. "Well, veteran, the kasha was good before, but this time it was even better. Choose whatever you like as your reward." The soldier looked around and chose for himself a mighty horse and a shirt of thick cloth. This shirt was not an ordinary shirt, but a magic one. He who put it on became a mighty champion. The soldier then went to the king, helped him in a difficult war, and married his beautiful daughter. But the princess disliked being married to a common soldier, so she intrigued with a neighboring prince, and in order to find out whence came the soldier's mighty strength, she coaxed and flattered him. Having discovered what she wanted, she seized the opportunity when her husband was asleep to remove his shirt and give it to the prince. The prince put on the magic shirt, took a sword, cut the soldier into little pieces, put them in a hempen bag, and said to the stable boys, "Take this bag, tie it to some battered jade, drive her into the open field." The stable boys went to carry out this order, but meantime the soldier's mighty steed had turned himself into a battered jade and put himself in the stable boys' path. They took him, tied the bag to him, and drove him into the open field. The mighty steed darted off faster than a bird, came to the dragon's castle, stopped there, and for 3 nights and 3 days neighed without ceasing. The dragon was sound asleep, but he was finally awakened by the horse's loud neighing and stamping and came out of his palace. "Hey, Pandar." We're in the middle of a really complicated story. He looked into the bag and groaned aloud. He took the pieces, put them together, washed them with the water of death, and the soldier's body was joined together. He sprinkled it with the water of life, and the soldier came to. "Fie," he said, "I have slept a long time." "You would have slept very long indeed without your good horse," answered the dragon, and taught the soldier the difficult science of assuming different shapes. The soldier turned into a dove, flew to the prince with whom his faithless wife now lived, and sat on the sill of the kitchen window. The young cook saw him, "Ah," she said, "what a pretty little dove." She opened the window and let him into the kitchen. The dove struck the floor and became a goodly youth. "Do me a service, lovely maiden," he said, "and I will marry you." "What shall I do for you?" "Get from the prince his shirt of thick cloth." "But he never takes it off, except when he bathes in the sea." The soldier found out at what time the prince bathed, went out on the road, and turned into a flower. Soon the prince and the princess came to the beach, followed by the cook carrying clean linen. The prince noticed the flower and admired it, but the princess guessed at once what it was. "Ah, that accursed soldier must have turned himself into this." She picked the flower and began to crumple it and pluck the petals, but the flower turned into a little fly, and without being noticed hid in the cook's bosom. As soon as the prince undressed and went into the water, the fly flew out and turned into a bright falcon. The falcon snatched the shirt and carried it away, then turned into a goodly youth and put it on. Then the soldier took a sword, put his treacherous wife and her lover to death, and married the lovely young cook. The end. Wow, there's a lot going on in that story. It's the story of the magic shirt, mind you. That's the title. So we have a soldier. He must come from a rich family if his family sends... Fadir says, that made no sense. Well, I'm not going to lie. So I'm guessing he comes from a rich family if his family sent him 100 rubles, and that's clearly a good amount of money for, at least from a poor person's perspective. The sergeant borrows it, steals it, beats the soldier instead. The soldier is thinking of running away, meets the dragon. The dragon employs him to cook his food, its food, for 3 years, then another 3 years, then a final 3 years, but then he looks inside and the sergeant is in there. I thought that was going to have been a trick of some kind, but it wasn't. The sergeant was just part of the kasha. So he heats it up even further to melt him down. The dragon eats it. That's just gone and done with. Lets the soldier have whatever he wants. He picks a good horse and this magic shirt. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if there's some sort of a through line. But hey, he married the cook at the end. The princess was crappy. She was a bad wife. So he married the cook. All right. But yeah, maybe there might be something missing. He was missing something in the second reel. The edit got mixed up. So for next time, we're going to keep doing fairy tales for a little bit. These are fun. Next time, the stories coming up are The Three Pennies, The Princess Who Wanted to Solve Riddles, A Soldier's Riddle, The Dead Body, The Frog Princess. Ooh, that one's probably good. Cool. All right. Well, I hope you all are enjoying the Russian fairy tales as much as I am. They're very interesting, if nothing else. I'm not sure we can always learn something from them, other than people who told these stories were crazy, but they are interesting. Today is Monday. This afternoon, I will be on with Jessica on her channel. We may read more Dune. We're past halfway. We're getting through it. I can't promise you we'll be reading, but I can promise you it will be entertaining, whatever we end up doing. So tune in for that. I should also mention, yeah, don't beat a peasant, don't steal his gander. On Jessica's Discord, we have a room for It's My Book Club. We are reading Creatures of Light and Darkness. Get it right now. We're going to talk about it starting at the end of the month. I'll post some more further information about it, and we'll divide up. It's not a very long book, but we'll divide it up. There's no rush. This isn't going to be a pressure thing. So I'll find a good way of dividing up the book, and we'll talk about the first section of it. The book is widely available. You can get the much newer paperback on Amazon for not too much money. It's on Kindle. It's on all the things. It's on the Hoopla app. If you're in the United States and you have a library card, you can get free access to a ton of content. I highly recommend it. Shoot, what's that other app that people were talking about that I always forget? There's another book borrowing thing. Does anybody remember what the name of it was? Rob Vegas was talking about it. I don't think he's here. Tinder? Maybe. Was it Tinder? Something, was it Overdrive? Something with Overdrive? Libby. Was it Libby? I think it's Libby. Maybe Libby. Overdrive. Okay. Well, look up those things. I guess Overdrive. Okay. I don't know that one, so I'll have to look it up. But yes, if you have a library card... Oh, Pandar has Libby. Okay, cool. If you do have an actual library card for your local library, you can use that to get access to the Hoopla app. Hoopla. And the Hoopla app is actually really cool. It has a bunch of books. It has books that you can read on the app. It has a bunch of audiobooks. It even has movies and TV shows that you can borrow and watch. You can only borrow 6 things per month. Any one thing is a thing, so you kind of have to figure out what you want to access. But then they have some stuff that are free and don't cost a borrow. It's a whole thing. But the really cool thing about the Hoopla app is it has a massive database of comic books. And they're all in like volumes or even in omnibus editions. So one borrow could be 600 pages of a comic book run, which is pretty darn cool. And I've read a bunch of stuff. And there's actually a bunch of really recent comic books on Hoopla. So I highly recommend it for that. In fact, my book is on Hoopla, which I didn't know until I was on there one day and I was just looking through random stuff and I thought, I'll look up my book. And sure enough, my book is on Hoopla. So you can borrow it there if you wanted. Yes, there is an Overdrive movie about killer vehicles. So get the book. Again, I'll post and tweet about it, and we'll get started reading it. And what else? I think that's it. Normal stuff this week. So we'll be back tomorrow for toys. Find something good to look at and talk about. And then all the usual normal stuff. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Let me see if anybody else is online to hand it over. I hope you all have a good week. Hopefully this is a productive week for everybody. Okay, come on, Twitch. Show me who is online. Oh, our good friend Pete is on. Let's see what Pete is doing. Read. Okay. Start that. Things are running real slow. Okay. Go say hi to Pete. Have a good week. Tune in this afternoon, 5 p.m. Pacific, on the Jessica Nerdy channel for Dune or Shenanigans. Shenanigans, Dune, somewhere in that proportion. And I'll see everybody back here tomorrow for toys. Okay, bye. Do 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 do. Is Pete actually on?